All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is Loyalist. And no, this wasn't Chuck's fault this time. It was mine. It was my fault because I have an animal that somewhere died under my house to an area I can't reach. And we have flies. So I was trying to kill some flies in my room in here before I went live because, I got tired of doing, trying to catch things, during live streams. So we
Looked
made
like
it.
a martial arts movie from my side.
Oh, my goodness. My goodness. How's it going, Loyalist? How's everything going?
Oh, not too bad. Had a nice day sitting there, doing a bunch of outside work in this crazy Indiana heat. Just reminding me how old and out of shape I am, But, yeah, I had a good day. The kids had a good day at school and ready to talk some football. Something I wanted to mention also is sort of like set it like a baseline before we get into the thick of things today is just, we're going to discuss, things that we're hoping to see during the game and stuff. But the thing is we got to remember, or if you didn't know, let's inform you that Coach Reich said that a lot of the starters weren't going to get a lot of action tomorrow. So I guess, I just wanted to say this so that people aren't going, well, why aren't we talking about Carson Wentz? Why aren't we talking about Quentin Nelson? And, these are guys that aren't going to get a lot of action and stuff, and I mean, pretty much I would think, we think Ryan Kelly, not too much from Glowinski or Braden Smith, so I don't expect a lot from them. What do you think? No T.Y. Hilton and no no Michael Pittman, probably a whole lot, maybe a little bit of Paris, and then basically from Zach Pascal on, we should see quite a bit of activity, don't you think?
Yeah, I think you're probably about right on that aspect. Well, with the new news that just dropped, not an hour ago, we're not going to be seeing Quentin Nelson. Nelson got dropped on the COVID injured reserve list, which means, that's 3 weeks. That's 3 weeks that he cannot play. Period. Once you dropped on that COVID IR, and that COVID IR does not mean that they have COVID. Now, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know. But that COVID IR is basically the same thing they carried over from last year. It's the injury reserve that they have now, and it means that you're done for 3 weeks. So that's exactly what that is, that you cannot play for the next 3 weeks. That's why Fisher was dropped on it. And who else was dropped on? No, it was just those two that I know of so far, right?
Yeah.
So the left side of the line, we're not going to see our left side of the line versus the Seattle game.
No, that is 3 weeks, calendar weeks, right? That's not 3 regular season weeks, correct?
No, correct. That's 3 calendar weeks.
Okay.
That's what the new they combine it they call it a COVID IR. That's why they changed the injury reserve to they mixed it with COVID. I don't know why they did that in that aspect. Basically, because you got to have a minimum of a certain period of time. If you do, I think it's 2 weeks before you're allowed to play if you test positive, right? And so because of COVID from last year being so rampant, they mixed it with the IR, and they just said the heck with it. Instead of the 8 weeks or 8 weeks, something like that, the IR used to be, they just made it a 3 week IR and combined it with COVID. So
yeah. And that way, as many people can be on it and back off of it and back on it, back off of it, as necessary throughout the entire season, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can.
The reason I wanted to set that baseline was there was a couple players, but there was one that I wanted to have a small discussion about, and that's Julian Davenport. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Okay, Julian came in late in the season. He's from another team, so we haven't seen a lot from him. So my question is will he play, Friday? And then there's the other side of the coin where, okay, he is your starting left tackle guaranteed now going into week 1. And the drop off from him has been a noticeable, sizable drop off. So I guess my question to you is, do you think that Julian will even get any run on Friday?
Oh yes, I think he'll get a lot of run. I get you. I understand that where you're coming from, but at the same time, he's only had 2 weeks practice.
Yeah.
And he needs all the game time action he could possibly get. That's why they'll probably run. You'll see a lot of Davenport, Tevy, and Holden in this game because they're going to want to get all 3 of those guys as much reps as possible. Because, let's face it, both of them, one of those guys is going to be a starter. And, while we're waiting on Fisher to come back, and the other 2 will be the backups to the left and right tackle. So they need to get reps as much as possible. So, I imagine that they're going to have a lot of, all 3 of them, a lot of reps between them.
Okay. So what are you thinking on the defensive side as far as who will be, sort of putting that, okay, they're starters, we're not going to play them, and then who do you think, where's the break off, I guess, as far as who you think will get action tomorrow on the defensive side?
I figure veteran starters probably won't get any action. Whether they played
Grover,
whether they played a lot during training camp or not, your veteran starters that's been here and know the team, right? Like you're saying, like Grover, like DeForest, like Leonard. Leonard missed some time, but he's a veteran starter and don't really need a lot of reps in order to get into game mode. Probably won't see much of Kenny Moore. Probably won't see Blackman or Willis, guys like that. But other guys that are, fringe starters, I would assume, would be, Teray. Teray's a fringe starter. I expect him to play some. Pay, obviously, is a rookie. I expect every rookie to get some action in this game.
For me, like with the Davenport situation, it was like, I could see 2 reasons. One why you would, one why you wouldn't. Another guy that sort of falls on that side for me is Rocky Sin. You talk about veteran. He's part of the defense. He's been with us, but he's also got a lot to prove. So I guess I'm wondering, do you think that they protect him and just keep him out because we can't afford an injury at that spot, or do you think that they still want to see more from him and he'll get some action at least starting off in the first quarter?
You know what? I think that Rock's position on the team is more solidified than media and fans give him credit for. I honestly believe the organization thinks that Rock's position is locked in, and that especially with how he's shown his play through the preseason and training camp, I think that because he has done such a good job, I honestly don't expect to see Rock tomorrow at all.
Okay. So basically, you're just, as far as starters per se, maybe. What about Taekwon? Do you think we'll see much of him since he's coming back from injury?
Another fringe starter, right? A guy that is right there on the edge. I see him as a definite early down guy on the edge, but at the same time, he's still a fringe starter where he's going to be splitting a lot of time with other guys. And so, I think and especially with the fact that you said, that he is, been injured and stuff as well. I think all of that adds up to him probably playing a few downs if he's able to,
Yeah. Okay.
If he's got a bunch of nicks and bruises and stuff, he might not play.
Yeah. And seeing that was I just wanted to set sort of the baseline. So whenever we're talking about this, people are going to want to know why we aren't talking about somebody. And this is why, guys, we just really wanted to sort of dive into what we were expecting to see tomorrow in the game itself.
Yeah, absolutely. guys that obviously, like today, I was talking to. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I called in this morning on 1075, the fan show with Kevin Bowen. And man, congrats to Kevin. I love the fact that he's just a regular now on the radio. It's great. He's one of the guys that I have a lot of respect for. And, I asked him his opinion. Because a lot of people have a lot of really high expectations for guys like Kylan Granson and Michael Strawn. Yes, they have big playability. They shown Strawn has shown that he could do a lot of, but he's also shown that he's not 100% trustworthy, right? He drops the ball a lot. And that doesn't necessarily mean that he won't make the 53. I think he's got the 53 just because of his upside alone. But don't expect him to be out there, getting 30 snaps a game either.
Yeah.
I see maybe 10 to 15 snaps at the most a game for him in certain situations early on in the season that will, put his abilities to the best, for the Colts at that time.
Yeah, and I imagine 5 or 6 of those snaps will probably be on special teams too. So yeah, I mean, and I agree with you. And I think we're all hyped about Michael Strawn, but we have to remember he's a rookie. He's a 7th round draft pick. I mean, these are all things that are going to scream that consistency is going to take a little bit. And he's going to have to pick it up throughout the year. This year is going to be a nice introductory to the NFL, but I think the fruit that we bear from that draft pick, I think, is more of a long-term picture than I guess what we're expecting to see out there. Week 1, week 2.
Yeah. I'm looking in here in the chat. I want to, first off, thank you to everyone in the chat right now. Appreciate each and every one of you. I see the chat's rolling hardcore. Let me shout out a few names real quick so that I can get these guys known that you're all out here. Like Alpha Wolf, Truitt, what's up? Marquis Beverly, Matt Stansberry, Brandon Smith, Brandon Smith, what's up? Let's see. Continuing on through, Martin Hazel, of course, is in here. La 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 la. Oh, la la la. That's what I say a lot whenever I'm kind of scrolling, if you guys haven't noticed. Devin Ward, what's up? EBRA. Brandon Wood. All you guys in here. Appreciate each and every one of you. John Davis. Anthony Lamb. Justin Gugel. I hope I got that name right, man. Really, really do. Mick the Doll, KDC City, what's up? All right, so they're in here talking right now. We're talking about preseason. Do you know what they're talking about in the chat right now?
I'm sorry, I don't.
Nothing that we're talking about at all. Nothing. It's all focused on Andrew Luck might come back because he's out there working with a high school team in Denver or in Colorado.
Yeah.
Let it go. Let it go. I mean, I love Andrew Luck. I wish him nothing but the best. If he wants to go out there and kind of coach a team or work with a team or whatnot, high school team, that's perfectly okay. That's just him getting that little bit of bug back. Yes, I get that, and it's fine. I have no issues with that. But don't expect him to play. From all that's been known, he's still perfectly happy with his family, with his kid and his wife, and being out of football. There has been nothing out there to say that, Andrew Luck wants to come back. There's been false, reports of that. But from everyone that I have talked to this entire offseason, when it came to like press conferences and interviews and things like that, Andrew Luck's happy being out of the NFL. So, good
and
luck.
being, going out there and being the quarterback for a scout team for high school guys does not scream that I'm trying to make my comeback. I don't think that's exactly where he would probably start. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
Yeah, right. Um, we do have a question regarding tomorrow, though,
Awesome.
and it is about Ellinger. Should they actually, instead of Ellinger starting the second half, should our other boy start instead?
Yes. Hunley.
Hundley, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll tell you why I say that. Okay. Sam, for me, and obviously I have no connections to what the coaches and the organization's ideas are, and I imagine that theirs isn't the same as mine. But quite honestly, we know what we've got from Sam. I don't see that playing with the third and fourth strings are going to give us a lot. And quite honestly, Hundley has been a true Colt. I mean, he came to this team and he knew he was a quarterback arm, but he also thought that he was going to get to, out of 3 preseason games, he thought he would get to put some gameplay on film for other teams, and quite honestly, he has not. Secondly, I mean, the young man can sling the rock. He's, and he is a very quality, fourth string quarterback for lack, of a better, that's what he is. Carson's, 1, 2, 3. That's pretty much been set. So I would definitely say I'd like to see him get out there, not only for his sake, but for some of these wide receivers that we're hoping to see, deeper in, and Doolin and DeMichael Harris and some of these guys that are probably going to get that later run. And Ellinger just hasn't proven that he can get the ball to them consistently of any distance. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Whereas Hundley, from what I've seen in training camp, which hasn't been much, I would imagine that Hundley is probably real close to what Eason had last year as the third and fourth string quarterback. Just not many reps. But when he is out there, guys, I've seen accuracy. I've seen he's mobile enough to get outside the pocket. He's not Ellinger, but he's not Phillip Rivers. He's sort of in between. So yeah, I'm totally on board with that idea because, like I said, I don't think that there's anything for Ellinger that he could do against that particular lineup or anything that would sway the coaches any different than what they've already decided. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I think Brett's played well, given what was expected of him coming into training camp, because there was no expectations, and I think he's played above no expectations.
Yeah.
At least from what I've seen, he's got a nice arm. Hundley, and this is my honest to goodness examination of Brett Hundley. I see a lot of PJ out of him. I see a lot of Philip Walker, kind of very similar kind of style quarterback, right? And I think that he is, I get that everybody's like, well, Ellinger, he's that guy who can move around. Brett can too. Brett can move around just fine, but he's got a stronger arm. Just straight up. Like I said, he looks. We all watched the game, Colts versus the Panthers. We saw what Philip Walker can do. I think Walker's probably better than Hundley overall, from what I've
quicker footed. Yes. Hundley's more of the. He's more of the Carson Wentz style. He's not fleet of foot, but he's quick enough to. Yeah, I agree completely. And I know this is an unpopular thought, but as far as what our quarterback room consists of and stuff, as far as the roster goes, I'm not so sure I wouldn't prefer to keep Hundley over Ellinger. If you've got Carson and I know that's not what the team's going to do, but Hundley's been in the league. He does have some experience, with other organizations. I feel like he could offer a good bit of a third voice in that quarterback room, more so than Sam could, quite honestly. And like I said, with Carson being I don't want to say injury prone, but just, there is the concern of injuries with him and stuff. And the limited amount of time that Jacobs had, I like the idea of possibly keeping him on as the third instead of Sam. But like I said, I don't foresee that happening. So just my thoughts.
Sorry, guys, I'm looking something up. Just checking something out here. Okay, so I just want to reiterate. Just because a player is put on the IR COVID-19 list does not mean that they've tested positive for COVID. You got to hear that specifically. That is their IR now for the season. Period. End of story. So unless it comes out and says Quentin Nelson has, tested positive, then we don't know. Okay? Because IR is now a 3-week sit down. He might have, just like, him and Fisher both.
That's what I'm saying.
Might just not be at that point yet with their doctors and stuff to come out and actually play, so they dropped him on that IR. That's what it is. I haven't seen any reports yet saying that they've actually tested positive for COVID-19. All I've seen is they've been dropped on that COVID IR, which is what I don't like people calling it the COVID IR because it sounds like you have tested positive. It is the IR for the season. Right. So just FYI, I saw Brandon Wood in here talking about that again, and I had to reiterate what I was saying with that. Okay. So they're in here talking Des Patman. A lot of people in here talking about Des Patman. It's possible. He has shown some special teams ability, but I mean, to be fair, both those guys have shown special teams ability. Okay, I'm not talking about Strawn. I'm talking about
Doolin.
Yeah, Ashton Doolin and Des Patman. They both done that, but yes, we have seen more from Patman in the wide receiver position. So that's something that I honestly think the coaches are going to be staring down, tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you got DeMichael Harris, you've got Des Patman, you've got Julian Davenport. I mean, there is a lot of interesting things that we can focus on in tomorrow's game that could hold a lot of weight for this team as far as, whenever it comes later in the season and we have to rely on some of that depth, and like you said, I think this game, with it being the final preseason game and the fact that we aren't starting any starters, this is really all that the Colts can glean from from stuff is, these fringe guys that, how are you going to finish filling out the rest of the backside of the roster? I did have a question on the IR that you were talking about with these guys and stuff. They do count towards the 53, though, correct?
No.
Okay.
Once you're put on that, see, that's why the practice squad is the way it is now. It's been extended to like 16 players, and you can save 3 guys. Anyone that is on that injury reserve does not count towards that 53. So
okay. So that opens up a couple holes for for some of these guys, whether it's at the wide receiver spot or what have you. That, I mean, it ain't a guarantee, but it gives you 3 more weeks to make your case.
Yeah, and I mean, that it's 3 weeks minimum that you have to sit on it. So okay. You could be on that IR the entire season, but after 3 weeks, then you can be brought back off of it and continue. See, it's a lot different than the PUP. The PUP is the PUP isn't necessarily a so-called death sentence, but it's a lot worse than what IR is now. Whereas it used to be IR used to be the death sentence as opposed to the PUP. So it's a lot different. Yeah, right. Delusional Pats fan, guy, thank you so much. I see you in here. Let me drop that question for you. I see you in here. Did Lawrence get Sony Michel traded with this A-plus breakdown of Ramondre Stevenson?
Well, if you did, I'm mad at you because I'm telling you right now, the first thing I thought of when I heard that was like, man, the Patriots just get us coming and going any chance they can get. Couldn't they waited till week 3 to do that?
Right. Now I did do that breakdown. I did a breakdown to both Sony Michel and Ramondre Stevenson. And honestly, did I not see that trade properly? That's 2 picks that they could get, right?
Well, what it is it's a 5th and 6th right now because the Rams don't have a 4th. But if they get one of those compensatory picks that's a 4th round, then it conditionally turns into a 4th. That's the way I understood it yesterday.
Oh, okay.
But since we're talking about that, I got a question for you.
Uh-huh.
If you had to choose for this particular, would you have taken Sony Michel or would you have taken a Marlon Mack? With his scenario, with what we've seen from him in camp.
From what I've seen out of camp, I'd take Marlon Mack because he's more of the all-around back.
Exactly.
Okay, but at the same time, Sony Michel is a very good between the tackles, like power runner. And I think that's what the Rams are looking for. I don't think they're looking for more of an all-around guy. I think they're looking for more of a, a down and dirty, 3rd and short type guy that they really need. And because they've got high-powered weapons to throw the football to, and they're going to want. Now, it wouldn't have mattered either guy because I think Sony does all right in pass protection. Marlon Mack does really well in pass protection.
Yeah, and those were some of the things I was thinking about. He's better out of the backfield, I feel like, as far as catching passes, and I think that he's much better in pass protection.
Well,
not to mention,
Sony's okay.
Not to mention, I would have liked the fourth round for Marlon because I would love, and I think he would enjoy being on the Rams. So, I was just thinking, man, wouldn't that have been a better fit? But I see what you're saying. It was more of a scheme thing than it was a.
Yeah, because it's not like Sony Michel is going to be, their lead primary back. Cam Akers is their lead primary back, as I see Brandon Wood was in here talking about.
Yeah, but he won't be ready for week 1 or 2.
Yeah. They need someone right out the gate, but Sony brings something solid to them. He's not anyone that's going to burn you for a 60-yard touchdown or nothing like that. But he's a solid 3-4 yard guy between the tackles, force you to bring your linebackers in, maybe bring a safety up, and you do that with Stafford and those weapons on the outside, and you're done. Yeah, he's a guy that can make the play action really, really work.
Okay. Because now I'll be honest with you. For me, Sony Michel, I know what he did his rookie year. He stood out to me. But last year, I just didn't see a whole lot of him performing and stuff. So
yeah, it was Akers. Akers ain't going to be back anytime soon this year, though.
Right.
Not the first few weeks. It won't. He probably, if he makes it back, I don't think he'll be back until what?
Well past
late October. Yeah, probably. Depending upon who's done his surgery and stuff too. So we'll see. Yeah. So, do you think Wentz will start week 1?
Me personally, I think Wentz will start week 1, and we've discussed it for a couple days. I thought Quentin was a bit of a question mark anyhow for week 1. Everybody kept acting like, he's this invincible. No, he's still flesh and bone, guys. And the fact of, like he said, especially after his presser yesterday, he was talking about the load, which we've talked about, and just his weight alone, let alone trying to hold back another 300-plus pound man. It's, I felt like Quentin coming back, even though he's a beast and everything, I just felt like that was more questionable than Carson. And quite honestly, in everything that we've seen from camp and stuff, I was just more validated in my opinion of that, if anything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I do think that Carson will get the first snaps week 1, barring anything over the next couple weeks happening.
Well, I mean, I didn't expect. I thought it was odd that they both came back at the same time when Nelson was running a boot right up through the week before. They both came back. And I was like, something ain't adding up to me here. And I think that, maybe, he did those light practices and then he came off the field, and I think that's exactly what happened. It was just, he's not ready. He needs more healing. There's a good possibility that Nelson might have, done something, maybe tore a stitch or something. I don't know. I'm just,
right.
He might have had a slight setback, and that's
like
why he's dropped on this injury reserve.
Yeah, and it's like we discussed the 24th, the camp that I went to. He was out there doing the 7-on-7, and then we seen him go and talk to the trainers and stuff, and so you could tell that they were, talking something about the foot and stuff, but you didn't really make much of it. But like I said, when I heard him on his presser and he started talking about how the foot feels like you would expect it to feel, and just these things, I was just like, yeah, and yeah, like I said, I think that's another where we've got to get out of our heads that this dude is invincible, because no matter how big or bad you are,
we got to remember, Carson Wentz is, what, 220, 230, somewhere around in there?
Yeah.
Quentin Nelson's got 100 pounds on the dude.
Yeah.
All right? Quentin Nelson's out there trying to do... And then, on top of that, when he's doing his work, he's putting even more pressure on it,
Yeah.
You figure all that extra weight from a defensive lineman or him pushing back and forth. There's times when he's got 700-800 pounds on that foot,
Even before that, I would imagine just coming out of his stance that he has to get into and stuff. Just the way you're, where you're on the ball, that just, to me, it's just different situations, and everybody, and maybe Quinn got caught up in this. Well, if Carson's doing it, I got to do it. But, because let's be honest, Quinn's like, I can't let no quarterback go out there before me, and not be at least out there at practice. Like I said, this I don't think was a big surprise to either of us. But yeah, I do think that the Carson Wentz and having a solid chance of starting week 1 is a bit of a surprise, a good surprise.
Zach Avery, Dylan Green, Harrison, Podblog, what's up? Sam Sinclair, what's going on, man? Buck Dancer, everybody in here, what's going on? Something came up to me. 91 passes, 5 interceptions, only in 7-on-7s, Carson Wentz. And someone was talking, should that be something that you worry about? And I'm like, really? That's 3 practices and 7-on-7 for a guy who's had 2 practices the entire offseason with a team he don't know nothing about. Guys that, he's had mental reps, but he hasn't really had a whole lot of time to. It's not worrisome to me. It's not. He's still got weeks to get into a groove with these guys. And so it's no big deal to me at all.
And not to mention that these guys are constantly, they know the coaches aren't going to sack Carson with them Q-tip things. They know that the ball's not going to be handed off to a running back. So there's a lot of things that play in the favor of the defense on that side of it. So, yeah, I understand that everybody wants to break down and analyze absolutely everything. What was it Ballard said a few months ago? These guys are tweaking play by play during preseason, and I understand that, but like you said, some of those interceptions were just clearly just timing wasn't there, or he hasn't, seen this guy, or there's a lot of factors into that just make this not of any concern to me. Now, I know everybody's worried because of how last year went for Carson and stuff, but that's not even comparing the same things in my mind.
There was a question directed at you, and I couldn't answer it because, man, I get days mixed up in my head. Was you at practice last Thursday?
Yes,
Yeah,
I was there at the 20. Is
the
it?
19th, I think it was.
Here, because I only missed one practice last week, and then this week I missed. Yeah, so yes, I was.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. I thought you
Yeah.
was. I just wanted to be sure. Um, do we think we would be better off had Rivers not retired? No, no. I think Carson Wentz brings a much higher ceiling than what Rivers has. I love Rivers, love Rivers. Okay, but his arm strength was holding him back on what he could do on the field at certain times. Okay, now he's better at reading a defense than him. He's got more accuracy and leads better. But how much marginally is that more important if you can't put a ball in a tight window anywhere on the field? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
And,
that's what I'm saying.
and not only that, I mean, we were limited because then, with Philip back there, as you mentioned, we had to bring the tight ends in. We had to put more resources to keeping that pocket more solid. And quite honestly, with us having Anthony Costanzo last year, I could see that, but with the Julian Davenport starting off week one or long, a few weeks or whatever, I would not like to see how Philip Rivers would have to react to that without adding at least one or two other resources to keep that pocket clean.
Yeah, that was actually Zach just brought that up. Zach Avery said, the dual threat factor, the ability to extend plays, things of that. Yeah, absolutely. I would not want to see, uh, I would not want to see Philip Rivers sitting back there with. It's going to be Reed most likely sitting there at left guard week one,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and and then on top of them, and then outside him, you know, we're going to have Davenport. So it's going to be a very questionable left side of now. Don't get me wrong. I think Reed and Davenport has played admirably, uh, at least last week. But against who they were playing, you know.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens tomorrow with that, man.
Yeah. That's probably my biggest thing for tomorrow. I really want to see Davenport go out there and just because as much as I keep trying to shake my opinions or thoughts before, training camp and stuff, and he's made me a believer that he has performed better than Tevy or Holt. Okay, I'm not backtracking on that, but I still just, man, I sure would like to see as many plays as possible of him, you know, keeping that pocket good and clean. Because I'll be honest with you, run game, we'll work that out. I mean, I feel like Reed is a very good run blocker. I feel like, our whole right side of the offensive line is going to be super solid at run blocking, including, Ryan Kelly and stuff. So I just need to know that Davenport can just keep the quarterback clean. I don't care who the quarterback is, just keep them clean. And then, like I said, I just would like to really see some more of that tomorrow, first and foremost for me.
Yep. Guys, 40 minutes in. Please smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Tag that notification bell so that you are notified next time we go live. Make sure you have all notifications turned on. As a matter of fact, just bringing it up, sometime next week, it might not be the Monday stream. It might be the Thursday stream. I haven't figured it out yet with my Believe in Colts podcast. We're going to make one of those a live stream. All right, we're going to make one of those a live stream to where guys can get in here and ask questions and comments and stuff like that with DeQuell Jackson. All right, so I'm just going to let you know. I wanted to announce that out front. Him and I had discussed it, and We haven't decided whether it was going to be the Monday or the Thursday stream. We just know that we'll go ahead and go that route. And, so I wanted to announce that a little bit here. Also, we're 40 minutes in, so it's time to do some plugs real quick. Guys, you want to keep up with some local news? You want to keep up with your city's local news, or, specifically what's going on with me and Loyalist? Download the Newsbreak app. All right? Definitely check out that, especially because it's right down here in the description, man, and you'll support us, financially support us, by downloading an absolutely free app. This video is sponsored by Newsbreak. Newsbreak is an app used over 1.5 billion times a month by people just like you to get local news via articles or videos by those who are focused on that specific area. People like myself. Just use the link in the description of this video to download it. Then search a city, state, or someone specific, like myself, Colts Law. Then make sure to follow them so you'll get all the news fresh as it comes out. And like I said earlier, man, hitting the like button, that's a free and easy way of supporting us. It helps the analytics get this video out to more people. And also, right below Loyalist, there is a share button where you could hit that button down there. Yeah. And a little red button, and you can copy and paste the link to this right now to any of your social media. It would help us out a ton, because it's only through people like you that we can get our stuff out to other people who don't know about us, right? Your friends, your family, people that follow you on your social media. So, thank you. Let's go ahead and get into some more questions. Now, I'm going to get into the one that just dropped right down there at the bottom. Skylar and Kirsten. What's up? Do you think Carson can get the timing down with the new wide receivers by week 1 after his injury setback? Or will they need to be conservative the first few weeks until they see it in practice consistently? I think that he already has a little bit of that timing down. Now, this is me personally, because he had worked with them earlier in the earlier this season at home over in California and Arizona, stuff like that. I think Carson has some of that down, but I do believe that 3 weeks is plenty of time to get some work in. That's pretty much all Phillip Rivers had last year. That's it, period. And he didn't have, that they had 3 weeks and then the season started. And that's what last season's off season was, period.
Yeah, because he didn't even have all the summer stuff that Carson and all these guys did in Texas and all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So legitimately, Carson Wentz has had more of an off season than what Phillip Rivers had last year. So think of it that way. All right. Is he still on a setback compared to other quarterbacks? Sure, but he's a vet, and all he's got to do, like you said, timing is huge, especially with guys who are quick. Okay, guys like Paris Campbell, guys like T.Y. Hilton, those kind of guys. Yes, that is very, very important, getting their speed down, but